Well, hello and welcome to episode 22 of Hull Seahawks Behind the Curtain. And a little bit different today, no special guests with myself and Matty. We're going to do a sort of a bit of a monthly review. I say we're about 4, 5, 6 weeks into the season now. League's starting to shape up for the first time. Some teams now hitting double digits of games. Of course, we're a couple in hand ourselves, but it gives us a little bit of a chance, Matty, to sort of have a little reflection on the season, so far.
Yeah, you know, obviously, where we are in the table is good, and we obviously wanted that from the beginning and to be up there. It's been a little bit of an up and down year already, I suppose, in terms of where the performances are in terms of my coaching head on. It's been up and down. I think we haven't seen the best of the team yet. I don't think we've played a full 60 minutes where I've been like, yep, that was, a full game where we've all, really played well and everyone's clicking and but that's how it is. At the start of the year, we've got that many new players that it's going to take time to get to that point where everyone's on the same sort of hymn sheet and everyone's going in the same direction. And we've changed a lot this year in terms of the way we're playing and sort of, again, the players that we've brought in. Although we've got a lot from last year, you're just trying to bed everyone into sort of how we are and what we're trying to do. And don't get me wrong, we've had games where we've played really well. Periods of really good hockey and playing the way I want us to play. And then we've just managed to sort of make it difficult for ourselves at times as well. And, I suppose let teams in, obviously let teams in, playing against some good teams and good players, and they're gonna get back into games. But, watching the games back and being there at the time, it's just one of them where I feel like we have let ourselves down at times in terms of the way we've played and made it a little bit easy for teams. And look, that's hockey as well. And but overall, look, we're up there and we're in the mix. And for us to not play, I don't think anywhere near our best up to now, to be sort of up there with the two big teams, obviously is great. And we'll just keep battling away and seeing where we end up.
Of course, mentioned of course, the league is already starting to shape up. Already, no teams no teams in a winless, but everyone's got at least the 2 wins. Everyone's got at least, the 2 losses, whether it be regulation or overtime. It's a really sort of competitive start to the season as we look across the 11 sides in this division, isn't it?
Yeah, so the league's improved this year again. I've said it a few times now, but the sort of parity in the league is really good, and I think it's showing on a night in night basis that anyone can beat anyone. We see obviously a lot of the teams are a lot better at home, and there's rinks that are difficult to go into and get points, but yeah, it's this league's took a step, another import into the league and better players that have come into it. Teams have improved a lot. There's already some really good teams in there, so I think, look, this league's a hard league this year. I think it's tough to call. Right now, obviously Leeds are playing some good stuff. MK as well. They're two of the teams, obviously, that people are gonna, we're gonna probably see at the end that are gonna be up there. But even them have, they've had some difficult results in games, and there's teams in there that can cause problems for everyone.
Certainly so. What we will do now of course, we didn't actually get a pod out last week. We do apologise from everyone here at Behind the Curtain. I think with the storms and work and just scheduling, it's always quite tough, especially when we could think of these guests, these hockey players. They have real jobs as well. So it is sometimes difficult, but we will get at least a double episode out this week, and we do have some exciting things in the pipework. But we haven't spoke about last weekend, the win against Peterborough and the overtime loss to Telford. If we just have a quickish recap on those two, Matty. I know we had a quick chat on air on Beverly FM already, but it will start for the Peterborough game. wasn't stellar by any means, but it's another good win against a tough opposition.
Yeah, look again, similar sort of thing. We played well at times in that game, and there was times when I feel like we sort of let them back into the game, and they had some big chances, but I feel like we carried the play on the whole, and we was good for the win. But again, it's a case of getting them points on the board however you can, and the win was massive for us, and obviously going into the night after in Telford, we had confidence and feeling good from a home win, which is what we concentrate on a lot, is trying to be good at home. But yeah, I mean, to get the win at home is obviously always key for us, but against a team like Peterborough as well was good to do.
And of course, the whole team sort of carried that into the early part of that game against Telford. Particularly Emil had a fantastic weekend. I think was it 4 goals across the weekend for Emil, a brace in each, including an absolute worldie against Peterborough. We've got to say, there's some great footage and great camera shots of that one as well.
Yeah, it was silly from him, that one, wasn't it?
I say if it hadn't have worked, it might have been a different story, but
Yeah.
it managed to find its way through. So we can certainly look back on that with some fond memories. But the start of the Telford game, of course, got off to pretty quick lead. It was 4-1 and 5-2 up in that game, and I say at that point it was all looking rosy. You've got to say.
Yeah, we've obviously played them already, and we had a tough night at home against them. Obviously, we started well. We was playing good hockey, and watching the game back, we played really well, and I think we had a couple of bits in the game that knocked us a little bit. We took some bad penalties, which again is obviously been a theme a little bit this year for us. And we know about this. We've got players on our team that are liable to do that the way they play and play on the edge. But there's times when it is just stupidity, and we don't need to take some of the penalties that we took in that game, especially giving them. They've got a good power play. They've got arguably one of the guys with one of the best shots in the league on out there. So you've got to be smart when you're playing against these sort of teams that have power plays like that. But look, we still, for me, it was 5-2 up, and to lose that game was a real disappointing one for me. We did sort of. We had some stuff happen in the game, like I say, Bobby Chamberlain took a knock and Paul was struggling, and we had a couple of others that were, and that's the way it is, right? And everyone goes through these little sections of the year where you are going to get some knocks, and we just stepped off it. We just stepped off our gas and the way we want to play, and we let them back into the game with some individual errors that is disappointing to see, and it was a massive point. Sort of thrown away in my eyes, really. We should have never let them back into that game. And, we did. And unfortunately, I feel like, it's a little bit of a hangover in a way to this week. We didn't have a game Saturday, which some people see it as a positive, but I don't believe it is. I think it's good to get right back on it. 2 games is what the lads are used to playing, and sometimes it's difficult to only have that one game, but that's the way it was. But yeah, we had a meeting this week about that game, and tried to put them wrongs right, and I feel like we did a little bit, especially from last night's game in Slough. And again, obviously we'll talk about that game a little bit more in depth, but yeah, look, this is the way it goes at times. You're not going to be brilliant every night, you're not going to always be perfect, and we're going to have to put up with this. This is how it is. You're not going to win every single night. You've got to really, work hard to get wins. And, we do have to shore up in some areas. And, I'm fully aware of them areas. And, these things that we are working on behind the scenes to try and make this team more solid. And, look, I think as well, Geordie will be the first to say at times, we've seen better from Geordie at times this year already, and sometimes it's just, again, you're not going to be you're not going to be on your game every single night, and we have to help him out at times as well. Where we've had a breakdown and we've given away 2-on-1 when we don't need to, and and that's just the way it goes. And I think everyone in there knows they can be better at times, me included. And we have to work on the things that we need to work on to be a lot more solid team.
So I think, look, there's only one place we can go now. We're going to have to talk about the first regulation loss of the season down at the Bees Sunday night. A game the Bees, on the scoreboard at least, seemed to get away pretty quickly, but didn't really play out that way. It was extremely tight at the end of the first, but the key thing being penalties again. Them having the opportunity on the 5 and 3 that's crossed across both periods there, and it just, as you say, it makes everything that little bit tougher. It's going to wear the legs out a little bit more, particularly after a long journey. Having to work on the penalty kill, giving them a lot more freedom on the ice. And it's we spoke about Geordie then, but if there's one way to protect Geordie, it's by not leaving us short-handed as much.
Yeah, look, I think Sunday night was, we didn't start great. I'll definitely admit that we want our usual self, but we didn't play Saturday, and obviously a long journey. That's sometimes what happens. We still had plenty of shots. We had plenty of chances. Could have scored ourselves a few times. They got one sort of against the run of play a little bit, which is a disappointing goal on a defensive side. And then we took a bad penalty, and that was difficult, for us to take. Obviously, it was a 5-minute one as well, which really did hurt us. We killed it off that, in the first period really well. Came out, we had a plan to kill it and get back to our game. And unfortunately, they scored fairly early. Again, it was sort of a bit part goal. It was a tough one, really, that one to take. And then we took another penalty and was 5-on-3 down, and we killed that off. And then they scored sort of at the end of that, 5-on-3. We come back and we sort of got caught up the ice, 2 guys. And they went down, and Gabaj, obviously, a good player. It was a bit of a lucky goal, to be honest, from looking at it. And unfortunately, we're 3-0 down, and then it's a tough ask. It's a climb back, and but you know what? The reaction I thought was great. We got right back into the game, and we got one on the PP with Finn, and honestly, from then on, we didn't look like losing the game at all. We didn't look like conceding again. Never mind losing it. We was the better team, completely from there on. We outshot them by a lot. We dominated it, and to be honest, on another night, I think Emile alone could have had 4 goals last night. He'll be the first to say that. On another night he scores them, and we'd probably win the game 6-7-3, and it's a different story. But their goalie Priest played really, really well. I guess that's we've only seen him once, and obviously that game was a bit of a sort of a one-sided game where they probably didn't play their best game as well. So you don't see the best of him, but he really did play well on Sunday, and he definitely won them the game for sure. But yeah, look, you see people's comments on the game and what's said about it, and if you was there, you would have seen the lads played well. And again, on another night, we would have won that game. Don't get me wrong, there's times early on in the game we have breakdowns, and we took bad penalties, obviously, and that's not good, and we can't do that if we want to stay up near the top of the league. And of course, not winning last night really does hurt us. Obviously, we've got games in hand, but we have to win them games. They're not just guaranteed points. So it's not a thing of, we've still got these games in hand. Look, we have to win them games, and they're going to be difficult games as well. So, yeah, disappointed with the result, but the performance, did not warrant a loss in my book. We could have easily won that game. I feel like they did get away with that a little bit. And that's the way it goes. Sometimes you don't play great and win, and sometimes you play pretty well and unfortunately you don't get the win, and that's hockey. But yeah,
I say from a lot of the doom and gloom, and it's not everyone, of course. I say it's tough at times. Particularly when maybe you go to a game expecting a win, and we can never expect to win. You've got to go out there and earn it, haven't you? But you've got high hopes, and then you don't get that result. Sometimes you do look on it a little bit more unfavorably than you otherwise would have. But it's tough to see, as you say, sometimes that the players out there, they've gone out there, they've given a better performance than they've maybe been given a lot of credit for. It almost seems like, maybe we'd been the team blown out 7-0 like we did to the Bees the other week.
yeah.
And it's just not the case, is it? It's, as you say, it's a game sort of on a fine line. Maybe Goodbye doesn't get the short-handed goal, that arguably turns the tide of a game. Maybe a penalty goes the other way. Maybe we don't make one too many, give away one too many penalties and end up on the PK again. There's very fine lines between a win and a loss, isn't there? And it's sometimes we talk about these games as if we've done a whole lot worse because there certainly shouldn't be any room for any doom and gloom. We're 8 games in and we've got 12 points on the board.
Yeah, look, yeah, I think, you're right, mate. I think, we've gone from, last year being what it was and this year being everyone being, really excited and rightly so about our team and the way we've started the year. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget sort of where we have been and what we're trying to do. And you see just a loss against the Bees, and maybe it's like, how are you losing to them? Or you look at just the scoreline and maybe go, oh, that must have been terrible. But you've got to look at the bigger picture here, and at the end of the day, the Bees are winning. They've won games against quite a lot of teams this year. And again, I say it, but that without, I'm not disrespecting the Bees here at all, but we should have won that game, and I'm very confident in that. And they would come away from that, being really happy that they managed to hang on to the game. But on another night we'd have won that game comfortably, and that's how it is. But look, people have got, rightly so, they've got opinions and they've got to voice it. But I just think sometimes you got to look at the bigger picture of everything, and sometimes you have to see the game for what it was. There's times in the game where we've let ourselves down defensively, or as a whole, as a defensive unit, or like you say, bad penalty, and they're things that the lads have to control. They've got to control that and be better in them scenarios, and that's what will win or lose a league or a cup or be up in the top 4 or whatever it is. And that's just game management. But we've gone from a team that basically bottomed the league and lost a lot of games to we're trying to game management our way through winning every game. Our fans, and I love it because they want us to win every game. I want to win every game, and I want us to try and manage our way through every game so we can win every game. But that's just the reality of it. Is sometimes it's just not going to be for you. You're going to miss an open goal. Emil will never miss an open goal again all year. Touch wood. But that's the way it goes, right? And we've got to come better for it. We've got to learn from what happened. We've got to learn from last week, which clearly, this week I felt like we did, and we played better and we didn't win. So, we have to go away again and go back to the drawing board and look at things. And we've got a tough weekend coming up that we need to be a lot better for. Fingers crossed we'll have, Bobby back, and Paul. Paul definitely will be playing this weekend.
That was exactly going to be my next question. Of course, he mentioned he was struggling towards the end of the Telford game.
Yeah.
Both missing on Sunday, considered day to day. How are they both? So
yeah, Paul will be back this weekend. He just needed a week off the ice. He'll be back. He'll be fine. Bobby, fingers crossed, he'll get some testing done this week, and he's messaging me every hour. He's just chomping at the bit, ready to go again. So look, hopefully we get him back. But if we don't, then it's another chance for some of them lads to to prove themselves and prove that they should be in them spots. Because that's one thing I will say is, at the minute we ain't had everybody going on one night. We're still some nights we've had a couple of players going really well and a few others that are not quite firing yet. And let's just be positive about it. When we do get everyone firing, then I think we're a pretty dangerous team. So so there's positives in that. And one big positive for me is Brock and how well he's played for me. I've not seen anyone, D-man wise in this league that has played anywhere near to his level yet. And that's great for us and great for our fans to see someone so young like he is in his first year in the league, and he's dominating out there. He was brilliant again last night, played 30 minutes. And it hit himself, could have had, three goals himself. He had so many shots. So yeah, look, there's a lot of positives and there's a few negatives that's my job to sort. And I can assure all the fans that I'm doing my best to make this team a real winning team, and a team that's hopefully got all the right pieces to it to take us late into the year where we are still up there and fighting for it.
Someone who has been impressive when they've had chances as of the last couple of weeks. Got a little bit shook up early on in the game yesterday, I believe. Alex Kent, how is Alex feeling? Good? He's really impressed over the last few weeks. I say, particularly with Jordan's suspension, he's had a little bit more time on the ice. Even before then, when he was getting a shift or two, he was really working really, really hard, particularly on forechecking, winning possession, turning the puck over in the good areas. He's really sort of, I would personally say, elevated his game tons from last season. He's looking phenomenal right now. And I say Deck's shining down there with the Jets, and when he's had the chance of us too as well.
Yeah, completely agree, mate. Alex, both of the lads, I think have improved a lot from last year. I think last year did him a world of good, playing a full year, having a summer of training. They've both been in the gym a lot. They both look bigger and stronger. I think Alex last night, he took quite a bad hit to the head. I can't believe he won a penalty on the play, but he got up and just bounced straight back up and missed a few shifts, and then he was straight back out there. That's Alex for you. A great attitude on him, and he's just willing to do all the things that I want a player like that to do, and he's such a good lad. Look, Alex is playing. He's doing everything I'm asking of him, and Deck. They're both training really well. They both look, like they fit into the team completely, and they're going to get chances still to play all year. And I want them both in and around us. I think it brings them on a lot. It helps them when they do go and play down for the Jets, and it looks like they're doing really well at that level, and they can dominate at that level and play offensive and be on the puck and play power play, etc. So, it's great for us and great for the future. There's more kids that are coming through underneath that, and it's great for the club as a whole to have this link up with the Jets, and they get to play them minutes for the Jets, and then obviously both of them two want to be Seahawks. I know they do for a long time. So yeah, that's the key for us, and to blood them in the right way, make sure they're getting minutes with us, and really happy with them too.
Normally at this point we would go on to talking sort of the week ahead, but breaking news: it will be now episode 23. I did say it was going to be episode 22, but Sam Towner will be joining us this week, and you will get to hear that before this weekend's games against Solway. So we'll leave the previewing of the Solway game to when we've got Sam joining us as well. A few bits of news around the club over the past sort of couple of weeks and going forward as well, Matty. First of all, it was about a week or so ago. We've not managed to speak about it since. Owen Bruton, Great Britain under 20s, got to be mentioned, of course. I knew that he was trialing out with a squad. I'd say phenomenal achievement. He's only 17 years of age, and he's only 17 years and 2 months. I think he's not shy of 17, but to be in the under-20 side, we've seen the workload, we've seen how hard he's training, we've seen how brilliant he's playing, over the last year or so, and he's well deserving of that spot.
Yeah, I'm real happy for Bruce. I think one kid that, deserves it, it's him because, he's just such a good lad. He puts the work in. He's always out there. We have a skills practice on a Wednesday in the morning, and he's always, he's always the first one out there working on his game. Always asking me things about his game, where he needs to be defensively, going through little bits of his game offensively and how he can be more effective in shooting the puck and being more of a threat out there. So no, really happy for him. To do that at his age and, to be in the 20s is a massive achievement for him. And it's great for the club as well that, we've got someone so highly thought of around the league and at GB level that he's playing for us. It's great. And yeah, just in general, mate, I think for us just to, to make sure that we've got someone like Brooks still improving and, mainly for me to have someone like that I can, try and mentor, help. And there's other lads on the team like Towner and Bobby Chamberlain that help him a lot as well. So yeah, it's great. I think, and the imports, I'll say that as well, because they're great with him as well. Always, speaking to him and helping him out. So it's massive, mate. Massive that he gets the minutes with us, that he gets to play in the big minutes. He played centre on Sunday night, and I liked his game. I thought he looked, absolutely fine in that position. It's something that I do want him to play in the future. So sort of blooding him in where I can in that position is good for him and for me as well to see him there. So yeah, like I say, he's great kid, and good luck to him. I think he'll smash it when he goes there.
As I got to say, looking at that Great Britain on the 20s team, it is pretty much full of national division talent, isn't it? It's great to see, not just with the Seahawks, that there's so many brilliant players around this division right now. I say this is a bit of a recap of the season so far, and there's a lot of these guys that we've either seen on the ice already this season, we've played last season that. Just for Great British hockey in general, as I say, the men's senior teams back in, the Div 1, they've got their world champs in May next year. They're going to be playing, back against Canada and Finland and these sides. But the next generation's coming through, and that's happening in the national division, isn't it? We're getting to see the future of the men's senior team right here in our division right now.
Yeah, it's huge, mate. I think this is, the point of this league, I think, is not only to, to have a great league and, be a commercial advert for the game in this country, but it's to give these lads a chance, these 16 to 20-year-old lads that won't get any ice at the elite league level to come and to play and actually play big minutes for teams like Leeds, with Braden and all these other lads that are playing a lot of big minutes for their clubs. I think it's brilliant for them. It's great for Great Britain, and I think, a lot more sort of, emphasis needs to be put on this league in terms of what it's doing for the game in this country. Because, look, let's be honest, the Elite League only has the real top cream of the crop in there. And, this league is the real sort of hotbed for, British hockey in terms of really bringing on these players to eventually get on two ways and hopefully get in the Elite League setups where they can actually get ice.
You see that at the moment with Cole Shudra, don't you? Of course, 100-point man, I think he was last season. And of course, he's gone to the Steelers this year full time, playing a lot of time, fourth and I think in the odd third line minute. Got his first goal, I think, at the weekend though, and I think apparently it's a bit of a stunner as well from what I've heard. But it just shows it's a tough journey you've got to go to make that step. But that's why we do see the crop of the British talent, even not necessarily staying in the national division. They're going to the Elite League and they're finding they want to come back and play in this division. That's what we've seen this year, hasn't it? With quite a few players. That this is the players the Brits want. This is the league the Brits want to play in.
Yeah, look, I think it's a lot of it's just down to the player. A lot of these British players that are in this league could easily go and play for a team in the Elite League, but it's at what cost and at what situation are they gonna find themselves in? And I think, the whole debate around, Brownie and what, his sort of trajectory and where he is now and why in that league. And I think it's just down to him. He wants to play. He don't want to just go and maybe get ice, maybe not get ice. There's uncertainty there, and I get the debate on you've got to earn it, you've got to make sure you're in it to win it, sort of thing, and make sure you're proving yourself at that level. But I think at the end of the day, you got to think what these lads are wanting to do in their life, and at the end of the day, they want to play. And when a team in this league, let's be honest, the big team like Leeds or, MK or us for that matter, playing it, in front of a lot of fans and in big games. When a team wants you to come and be a big part of that team and play on PP and PK and fair second line minutes, then, you can't knock anyone for wanting to do that. Because, yeah, the Elite League's the top league in the country. Yeah, it's the draw. But at the end of the day, I think if you want to play ice hockey and you want to improve and you want, to make your name in the sport, then, you're probably going to do it in this league, because nigh on impossible now with 15 imports to do it in that league, especially if you've not already made your name up there. It's virtually impossible. So, yeah, it's a tough one to crack, that one.
Before we move on to the GB under-20s, two former Seahawks as well in and around the camp. Kel Beattie, of course, makes the roster. Obviously spent a short time with us last year before getting injured, and then Cam Hamill's on the reserve list as well. And I said, bring his brother Carter's actually made the roster too. So some former Seahawks in and around that group as well. Moving on, Matty, of course, Halloween, some people's favourite holiday of the year coming up. We're going to have some fun and games around the Solway game on Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to have a fancy dress competition for the kids. We want to see the spookiest kids out there, and maybe some parents who want to partake in some ghost costumes, or make sure you get your all your merch. It's all black and stuff, so it fits the old Halloween bill. But no, it'll be fun. Be fun to get the kids involved in that, and we'll be handing out some treats and sweets and all that stuff. So hopefully we can get a busy rink and get the lads back to winning ways, and have a good night at the arena on Sunday, and get the place rocking.
No, certainly that's what we all hope for going forward. Sunday, I say, a home game against Solway. We'll preview that a lot more with Sam Towner later in the week. But to say thanks very much, Matty. It's been a lovely little roundup, I think. Sets us on the right path to sort of head into this next sort of chapter of the season. Essentially, we're working by columns on the club's fixture list, is what I've just decided, because the Solway games are the top of column number 2. So expect another one in about a month's time. But no, make sure you tune into episode 23 as it's released later in the week. And make sure you give this one, episode 22, a like, share, follow, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And these will be going back up on YouTube every single week, so you can dive in and watch these straight away on YouTube as well. Thanks very much for listening. I'll be back for episode 23 with Sam Towner.